G'day y'all, Kat Threadgold here, screening through from Dallas, Texas, in the wonderful United States of America. If you have been on my channel before, thank you for coming back. I've loved seeing the comments and connecting with people. Some people have asked if I do prayer. You can actually go to my website, www.catthreadgold.com, and there is a contact form. If you put prayer in the heading and just share whatever it is that you're needing prayer for, I will pray for you and I will respond. I'm on today because I wanted to share a little bit about what I feel the Lord was showing me about a prophetic word that Clement has shared. Now, a lot of us have heard of Clement. We know who he is, and we've seen prophetic words he's shared come to pass, but some of them we haven't seen come to pass. And that is what I'm going to be sharing about today, is the specific word he gave about the different seasons and that strange July word. But those who are new here, just a little bit about myself. As I said, my name's Kat Threadgold. I am a mother of 9. I have been born again, spirit-filled for over 25 years now. My husband and I came to Dallas with our 9 children in 2021, and we've been here since then. We just know the Lord was calling us to come here. My husband is an architect and a builder, I would say, in the spiritual and in the natural. And we focus on sustainable communities, developments and housing. So we actually had a property in Australia, 120 acres, fully sustainable, using all natural power resources, regenerative farming, and the Lord has really put it in our heart that we would like to see these kind of properties in the United States of America. Now, for me personally, I am an author. I'm actually a Amazon bestseller, which by the grace of God, that was an amazing surprise after releasing my book called Beauty for Ashes. You can get that on Amazon if you're interested. It's just my testimony about how powerfully God delivered me and set me free. I have, like I said, I have 9 children, and I am a prophetic vessel. We attend a wonderful church locally. If anyone's looking for a church home, let me know, in the Dallas region. And I'm also an intercessor with an international ministry, which I feel very blessed and privileged to be part of. So, a little bit about us. Now, what I wanted to share is some revelations that I've been having recently as I've been praying about this year. Many of us who follow the prophetic voices, and even for my husband and myself, we were very staunchly messianic for about 6 or 7 years of our marriage. We have come kind of not as far into it as we used to be. However, we feel like we've retained the parts that the Lord showed us were important for us, which is the feasts and the calendars and the God's timing and, Shabbat and that kind of thing. So, looking at 2025 being the Hebrew year of 5785, we've heard many people say that this year is the year of the open mouth. And if you kind of dive a bit deeper into that and you look at the different meanings of the numbers correlating to the Hebrew alphabet and the Hebrew symbols, you will also find that it can mean the year of the open waters, which is very interesting. Now, if you haven't seen this word that Clement shared about the different seasons, there was a lot of speculation that last year was the year that this came to pass. But I'm going to share with you how I believe that it's actually this year that we're going to see these things come to pass. In the comments below, you will see a link that I've shared. Clement's ministry is called House of Destiny, and his daughter actually runs that. His daughters run that. That is his official YouTube channel and ministry. And so I'm going to put a link below to the video I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it yet, it might pay to go and watch it before listening to the rest of the video. It might help it make more sense. But you're welcome to stay and just hear what I feel the Lord was saying. So how this whole looking into this word came about is I've been praying about this year. I've been seeking the Lord recently. He had given me a couple of words about bursting the old wineskin, meaning bursting, letting the things of the last season burst out before the Lord in the secret place, so that it can be cleansed and flooded out. So you would have to say, and you can comment below and say, that's me. If you have had a really hard few years, like the seasons, the warfares have been unusual. And by the way, I've had some people comment and ask if I do one-on-one prayer. If you go to my website, which I'll put a link to below, it's www.catthreadgold.com. You'll find on the contact form, you can put prayer in the title there and just send whatever your request is, and I will pray for you. And I will, if you put in your email, I will respond to you there. But coming back to this word, some of the word that Kim Clements had shared was about strange July, and God had been highlighting July this year to me. I've had a prophetic dream in November last year about July, and about there being like darkness, being internet and electricity in my dream just went out and it was dark. And I have been like interceding over that, whether that is figurative or if it's literal, I guess we'll see. But that was the dream that I had, that there was people were trying to access prophetic voices online and they were not able to because the internet and the lights went out. And I knew it was for a short season, but it still happened. Now, with Kim Clement's word, as I was praying about this year, because the Lord had highlighted to me July, He'd also, in a personal time of prayer, my husband and I were having, I had heard a time frame of 3 months, which brings us to July. And I kept hearing this week as I was praying, strange July, which is something that Kim Clements said in his video. Now, we've watched this video a few times and we were kind of thinking, oh, maybe it was 2024 that it happened. But as I've gone through it, I think what the Lord is showing me, I believe what the Lord is showing me is that Kim Clements mentions fall in there, the month of fall, or in Australia and other nations, we call it autumn. And what I believe that we've seen in this word is Kim Clements sharing about one fall and then the series of the other seasons and then another fall. And I think that makes sense because in one fall, and I'm looking at my notes, he talks about, look to the fall, it will be revealed who I chose for this nation are David. Now what happened in fall 2024? We had the elections in the US. And many of us, many people in the body of Christ believe that God's choice in this election was Donald Trump and that he would come in like a David. When we think about David, was he a perfect man? He was not a perfect man, but he was a man after God's heart. And I think in some of the laws that we're seeing, the executive orders that we're seeing a man after God's heart for the United States of America. We're seeing almost a reformation before a revival. We're seeing a changing of the laws, which is repentance, because repentance means to change your mind. And we're seeing some of the laws that were put in place that were not of the heart of God being reversed, which is kind of like a repentance. And I think a lot of the time we've heard about revival will bring reformation, but I think what we're seeing is a reformation that is preparing America for revival. And there's a lot people have said, we're seeing revival here, we're seeing revival there. I can't speak for that. I've, for the most part, stayed in Dallas during my time in the US. But I do believe that this reformation that's happening through a man who is after God's heart, not perfect, but after God's heart. And I think that that's what we saw. It says, look to the fall, it will be revealed he who I chose for this nation. Now, there's another fall that he mentions, that Kim Clements mentions in his prophetic words, and that was that there will be a change of the economic system, that there will be leaves falling and winds of change. Now, I do believe we've begun to see a change in the economic system. Some of you would have seen one of my last videos was about cryptocurrency. And I firmly believe that we are going to be going into a digital cryptocurrency economy. There are things to be wary of. Is the cryptocurrency going to be the pathway for something like the mark of the beast? I would say very likely, most probably. But we have to see things in a sense that, for example, when God brought his people out of Egypt, they plundered the gold and silver of the Egyptian people, of the Egyptian economy, and they took it with them to get them to the promised land. And I do feel that that is a season that we're in, that the Lord is going to be helping his people plunder from the crypto digital economy to take the resources needed to get his people to the promised land, which I believe we're looking at the second coming of Christ. I know that the Lord has highlighted to me 2028 as being a time where massive shakings will happen, that there will be a very strong presence of the Antichrist coming in 2028. When I looked up that year, it's a Jubilee year. And I think in Jubilee years, we see a lot of shaking. You can look at Jonathan Cahn's books, The Harbinger. He talks about the Shemitah, and that's what we're going to see 2028, 2029. I know the Lord has shown me that 2030, there was going to be some really intense persecution of God's people, and I haven't seen past 2030 at this point, but he's just told me to prepare myself, my family, and where I can, the bride, for those years that are very quickly coming. And I do believe that the transfer of wealth that the Lord has in his heart to do is to help us establish even things like properties for people to live in, sustainable communities, so that when there is a shaking, we saw with COVID, that brought all kinds of issues that if we had been in sustainable communities as Christians, we could have overcome very quickly. That's just a side note. However, going back to Clement's word, he spoke about unusually dry conditions and that there would be widespread drought. Now, when we look at December last year, there was a lot of drought. It was very, very dry conditions. But he says, rain will come and it will be a sign of an open door. Now, coming back to 5785 in the Hebrew meaning, it can mean open water. So I do believe that what he's saying is, he was saying that in spring rain will come, it will be an open door, and I believe that's what we're going to see. We're going to see rain and open doors coming in spring. He was also talking about lies being exposed, and I believe that that is also what we're seeing now with the current administration. They really are uncovering a lot of stuff that was done and said in unrighteousness and deceit. He says, fall, there will be winds of change. Now, leaves falling and winds of change, and a change of the economic system in fall. 2025, fall that has that we're in right now. In the news, it says that this March gone has been the windiest March on record in the United States. Over 15 capital cities in the United States had the record broken for the speed of wind that they had during March. They're calling March the windiest March that has ever been seen, including Washington, D.C., had their record broken for wind. So he's talking about there being winds of change. Well, this March has been seen as some of the windiest, it is being called the windiest weather on record in the United States. It also talked about a changing of the guard, and we've seen that there's been a changing of the guard in the government, even literally, like we've seen the Coast Guard, like the border guards, have now said, no one's coming in. It's been completely different to the last administration, to any time in history. But we've also seen a changing of the guard in the church. What is that? What do I mean by that? We've seen exposure with leaders, sin being brought to the light. God is raising up a standard in church leadership through the exposure. And we've got to pray for the leaders who have been exposed and the things that have come out. We've got to pray for them. We can't add to the fire of slander and judgment. But with that exposure, it's been a changing of the guard, where I do believe that some of these things being exposed are now almost putting the fear of God into leaders, where they don't want to get caught doing anything they shouldn't be doing, And I think also the changing of the guard that we've seen in the church is, from my conversations with people, from what I've been picking up prophetically, is that people are finding religion less appealing. They are not looking for religion. It is not fulfilling what they are looking for. People are hungry for Jesus. They're hungry for his presence. They're hungry for his glory, his signs, his wonders. People are wanting to just tarry in his presence, as opposed to doing the same ceremonies, the same programs, the same structures and that kind of stuff. There's been a lot of people, you hear people say, I'm deconstructing my faith. It's because they're looking for something different to religion. It's like there's a changing of the guard in the church, where the religious guard is being removed so the King of Glory can come in. And that is what revival looks like. And so Kim Clements was prophesying that the winds of change have come, and that's what we've seen. It's been very, very windy. He also prophesied about there being pandemonium in the White House, and that there would be something going on in Rome and Italy. Well, and that's what he was talking about for spring. Well, we have seen pandemonium in the White House. I mean, how have we ever seen a White House more divided than what we see right now? That there's uproar and division, and there is fighting between the parties, and there's judges that are kind of trying to go against what the president's saying. There is pandemonium in the White House, and we've just seen the Pope die. All of this, April 27th was the start of the Hebrew spiritual new year. And so we're seeing all of this happening in 5785, the Hebrew year of the open mouth, but also the open waters. And so they were some of the points that made me think, well, that was fall that we've just seen. But then we look at June 20th is summer this year, and Kim Clements was talking about that there will be eruptions in summer, tornadoes in summer, and strange temperatures. Now, I have felt like the Lord has said to me to do some things to prepare for intense weather this summer. And I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't really seen this word, this part of the word from Kim hadn't really stood out to me before. But I guess we will see coming into summer, if what I'm believing the Lord is saying is true, we will see eruptions, tornadoes, and strange temperatures in summer. He also said spring is rebelling. Now, we're in spring right now, and I don't know about you, but myself and other people have felt that there has been delayed breakthrough in the season of spring. Spring is a time where you are meant to see new birth, fresh harvest, the things springing forth. It's meant to be a time of gathering in things that you've labored and toiled for. But when a lot of people aren't seeing that, I think a lot of us are waiting for breakthroughs that have not happened yet. And Kim Clements specifically says spring is rebelling. And I believe that speaks to delay and resistance that's been happening in spring. Now, this part really stood out to me, because I believe that Kim Clements was talking about two different falls. The one fall that I've just mentioned, and then the next fall, he starts to talk about, I will prosper my people during fall. Many will rise and fall, that there will be a release of basically of finances in fall. There will be some that gather resources and some that lose them in fall. And so I believe this word makes more sense when we go, okay, this fall about revealing who is in the White House, the winds of change has happened. And then we come through to, we're in spring now. Spring has been rebelling. And then we have summer, where he's prophesied there's going to be strange weather. And then this year, Fall starts on September 2022. Now, what's interesting about this is Rosh Hashanah starts on, fall starts on September 2022. Rosh Hashanah starts this year on September 2022, and we move into the new year at the same time as we move into fall. And what Kim Clement had said was, during fall, many will rise and fall, and he will prosper his people. And I do believe that that is this fall coming, September this year. I believe that we're going to see some crazy things happening with the financial system in September this year, but also in July. When Kim Clement spoke about July, which is summer this year, he said, strange July, it will be hypnotic. And what I felt that he might be talking about is people are going to be glued to their screens as they're watching things unfold in the news about weather, about the economy, about world finances, and even an attempt at another kind of global lockdown or some kind of situation like that, that it was going to be hypnotic July, because a lot of people were going to be stuck on their screens in absolute wonder, awe, shock, amazement at what is going on. What is going on? But I do believe that this September, this year, coming over from Rosh Hashanah, we will be going into the year of 5786, and that is the year of connection. And I believe what that means is it's a year of connecting heaven to earth. The blueprints of God to the earth will occur. And I think we will see a lot of people will be able to connect the vision God's given them from heaven to manifesting physically in earth from Rosh Hashanah this year in the fall, because it will be when there is a prospering of his people and a transfer of wealth. I believe will be in fall this year, coming through Rosh Hashanah. That year 5786 can also mean, with the words, with the numbers there that are represented by the letters Vav and Tav, that it is a marked man or a marked generation, meaning for such a time as this, which is also a term that Kim Clement uses in this prophecy about wealth for such a time as this, for his people who have been called for such a time as this. And so I believe a lot of what we're going to see of this word is going to begin, it has begun to come to pass from fall last year. There was also part of that word that says that Christmas will make them glad. And there have been some people who have, the last few years I've felt just an excitement about Christmas, building, and other people have said to me, Christmas is going to be amazing. And then Christmas comes and goes, and I'm like, it doesn't feel like that's what the word was about. But I really feel like this year, this December, that there is going to be something incredible for God's people. A lot of God's people are going to begin to take off into the things God's put in their heart. That I do believe that there will be a wealth transfer later this year. That many of you are holding out. I know there's people in our community and others I've connected with online. You're holding on to prophetic investments that you believe the Lord showed you that have been confirmed by other people. Some people are growing weary, and I'm here to say I believe it's going to come to pass, but not yet. Coming into July through to September, you will begin to see. You will begin to see the Elijah cloud coming, I believe. And I think that lines up with Kim Clement's talking about the rain will come. The rain will come and it will be an open door. So this is my take on that. I'd love to hear what you think. Leave your comments below, but definitely go and have a look at the video that Kim Clement shared. I hope this helps. Spending time with the Lord and just seeking him on this really helped me make sense personally for Kim Clement's word, because there's a lot of things that have happened in the natural that have confirmed what he said. But I think separating those two falls, as this is the fall when Donald Trump came in, there's pandemonium in the White House, and we've seen all the natural signs and wonders happening, coming through to the spring that's rebelling with the delay, and the breakthrough's not coming just yet, and then the eruptions and tornadoes and strange temperatures in summer, which, we'll see if that happens from June. Strange July, where I believe there's going to be stuff that happens in the stock market that's crazy, and other things going on in the world that people are just going to be absolutely hypnotized on their screens at what is happening. And then coming into September, which is fall, where he says, I will prosper my people. Many will fall during that time and many will rise, which I believe is about the transfer of wealth as we come into fall on the same day as we come into Rosh Hashanah for the year 5786, which is the year of connecting heaven to earth and the year of a marked generation for such a time as this. So let me know what you think. And I pray that you're encouraged. Don't grow weary in doing right. If the Lord has given you a conviction to do certain things, make certain investments, if he's given you a vision for something that is about blessing this next generation and the church in this next season, keep writing it out. Keep praying about it. Declare over it. But I feel like this is a season of patience that really... the end of this year is not very long when we look at it. We're nearly into May. It's going so fast. The days are speeding up. And I just want to encourage you to hold steadfast. Be steadfast. Hold firm. Go back to the word that the Lord gave you. And check out Clement's prophetic word. I hope this blessed you. And you can connect with me through my socials or through my website. Thank you.